Hi, and welcome back to the 2017 Vitality World Summit. I'm your host, Steve Prusak, and we're really excited about our next guest. We've got Karen Knowler. She's the author of Raw Food Made Simple and Eat Right for Your Personality Type, and founder and director of the rawfoodcoach.com, and created the International Raw Food Day, which happens every July 11th. And to date, Karen's trained over 1,700 men and women worldwide to become professional raw food health coaches and teachers, and now mentors and trains the up-and-coming raw food rock stars into the future and more. She and the visionaries up and coming. Let's welcome to Vitality World Summit, Karen Knowler.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Karen, thanks for being here. And we're talking about vitality on this summit, and they say when you get into your 40s and later years, even beyond that, that you're going to experience pains and you're going to have less energy and you're going to need surgery and medications and you can't lose weight. Is that the case?
No, not in my experience. Absolutely not. I think it's all about taking care of your body from as young as you possibly can, obviously, but it's never too late. And it's really about keeping your body clean so that these things can't flourish in the first place.
Well, as somebody joining me in the over 40 crew, and we've got people in their 60s and 70s speaking on this summit, but even in our 40s, I have friends that are just, they can't lose weight. They're on medication. They think that's the way to live, and they kind of use age as an excuse. I actually hear that, like, well, we're getting old, but we know that's not true. And I want you to share some of your tips and how raw food and some of the other things have helped to change your life.
Well, my gosh, I got into it very young. I was 20 years old when I discovered raw food, and it was because I was searching for answers actually to losing weight. And also I wanted to be vegetarian, but I wanted to be a healthy vegetarian. So for me, as soon as I started reading about veganism and clean eating and raw food, it really made sense instantly, because I just thought, well, of course, what you put in is going to absolutely affect what you get out and how your body looks and feels. And so I became my own guinea pig from a very young age and discovered that literally any issue that you have, you can rid yourself of it if you create a clean environment, and you can do that at any age. So for me, I've just lived that way ever since, with varying amounts of raw food, always vegetarian or vegan in the mix. And obviously, as I've got older, my parents have got older, other people around me have got older, we're all getting older, but it's made me just so grateful that I got into it so young.
How do you, as the newest book is Raw Food Made Simple, right? Is that the newest book?
Eat Right for Your Personality Type, 2012.
Okay, yeah, because I have the Raw Food Made Simple. I didn't know if there was an updated version of that. So how do you define raw food?
So, well, technically speaking, raw food is any food that hasn't been heated above 48 degrees centigrade. But if you want to keep it very simple, it's looking at the natural foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs. There's all kinds of things. In fact, I have a list on my website of 24 different raw food groups, because people think, oh, it's just fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, and there's really a lot more to it than that. But raw food essentially is food as close to nature, as unprocessed as possible, and definitely not heat treated.
How much raw food do you think we should be eating? How much are we on we all hear we should eat more fruits and vegetables, but how much of it should we be eating raw?
Yeah, I personally feel that 80% is fantastic for everyone. Obviously, whether you go above that or not is a very personal choice. A lot of people might think 80% is high. Other people might think it's low. It all depends on your frame of reference. But I know that for people to really look and feel the difference, then they have to go where the majority of their food is raw. Otherwise, of course, the other stuff is kind of neutralizing its power and its effect, and you're kind of giving to yourself with one hand and taking away with the other. And it's not just about the raw food, it's about the quality of the cooked food that you're consuming as well. Because, it goes without saying, you could be eating an 80% really clean, healthy raw food diet, but the other 20% might be donuts and burgers, and that's not really going to be complementary. So
Right.
You've got to keep it healthy all the way across the board. So 80%, I think, even though a lot of people think, well, that sounds high, I don't know if I can do that, it's actually incredibly simple to make that happen.
Well, if you can talk about some of the benefits, if we're going to include at least 80% of raw foods, what are some of the things people might experience?
Yeah, well, it does depend where someone's starting from, obviously, but usually people feel an upsurge in energy. Now, some people might feel a downsurge to begin with, because their body literally starts working on the healing first as a priority, because if someone needs healing first, that's where the body's going to send this new energy. But for most people who would consider themselves in a good state of health, that's when they're going to actually feel the energy to have more hours in their day. And some people actually find that they have 2 to 4 hours extra a day just from eating a predominantly raw food diet, which a lot of people think, oh, I can't imagine that, but it does make so much difference. Some of it is because digestion takes so much energy, and obviously raw food is easier to digest, but also it's to do with the quality of the food and the fact that it's so energetically vibrant. It comes replete with everything that nature gave it. You haven't destroyed, cooked away all the stuff that actually is energizing, that you're actually gaining that as well. Plus you're just eating less of the not so great stuff, because when you're taking the time and the consciousness to feed yourself more wisely, you're just not reaching for that stuff because it seems silly to do that. So energy is always up there as the first thing. And then it's better sleep. It's just feeling happier actually, which a lot of people think, how can that happen? But the thing about raw food, it's very holistic, and you start to feel the holistic benefits very quickly. And so it's not just physical stuff.
As the theme of the Vitality World Summit, I mean, if we're talking about vitality, what we're saying is this is the food to really reach that level.
Right. It really is. And the thing is, I am an explorer. I am a natural truth seeker. And I found this very young. And instantly that I read about the concept of raw food, it struck a chord within me. And I just thought, but of course, like I can't possibly even argue with this. And it's not even I can't argue with it. It just feels like truth. And so I've spent the past 24 years experimenting with it personally, and obviously speaking to many other thousands professionally. And, you know, the fact remains that the more raw food you consume, providing you're doing it in a sane and healthy way, the better you're going to feel. And you just can't argue with that. And it does make sense. Whatever level you think about it on, it does make sense.
So is it easy to go raw? Because a lot of people think it's complicated, and I just don't see how I could do that. I don't have the time for it. Is this easy?
It really is. I mean, like I say, when I got into it, I was very young. I had very little experience of cooking, let alone uncooking. So when I purchased my first raw food book, it was with some trepidation, because I thought, oh my gosh, she's talking about all these things I've never heard of before. Like I'd never eaten an avocado at that point in my life. So I'd walk into a supermarket with new eyes and think, gosh, these foods have been here all along, but I always just walk straight past them. So for me, as a 20-year-old living and working in London who couldn't cook, I figured it out very quickly and easily on my own, and I kept it so simple. What I did then is still what I teach people today, because I've tried other ways and I've seen other people try other ways, and they just don't work. They become too complex, not at all liberating. It starts to feel like a second job rather than something that's quick and easy. And I personally, as much as I love eating and I love the taste of the food, I don't want to spend hours in the kitchen. It's never been something I've wanted to do. So for me, it's always about keeping it super simple for breakfast, whether it's fruit, smoothie, juice, a raw muesli, whatever is appropriate for the appetite and whatever's going on. I mean, I work out pretty much every morning now, so it's usually a protein smoothie of some kind. And then lunch, obviously some big salad or very salad-based meal with whatever cooked items someone might want in there, as clean as it can be, depending on their natural, you know, what other diet that they eat, if you like. Snacks and drinks, you're looking again at the raw stuff, so smoothies, juices, water, sparkling water, mocktails, whatever floats your boat, nut milks. Snacks, sweet fruits, nuts, seeds. There's so many snack bars on the market now that are raw chocolate. I eat quite a lot of that myself. And then dinner, a similar thing to lunch, but again, mixing it up, different types of salads or cooked vegetables with a raw main. Like I've got a great recipe for a raw burger on YouTube. You know, there's so many ways to do it, and you follow that and you're at 80+% in no time at all, and it's very sustainable.
When we announced about this summit, some of the people that wrote back and from our audience had asked, like, find out from the experts what they eat in a typical day. Like, it sounds good in theory, but can you give more of a blueprint or an idea? And it's getting towards the end of the day here now. So for you, because we're in a time zone difference, but like, what was your typical day for you? Like what you were able to eat today?
Yeah, well, most days, like I say, I'm going to have a protein smoothie. And, it's interesting because everyone's got an opinion about breakfast and workouts and what you should consume. But for me, I just cannot go and work out with food in my stomach. So, I'll wake up early and I'll go and work out somewhere around 8:30 for an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And I won't have anything in my stomach since the night before. And I have no inclination to do that. I literally cannot imagine doing that. So when I get back around 10:30, that's when I'll make a smoothie. And that will either be coconut based or maybe soy milk based or almond milk based or whatever it is that I fancy that I have available. Put in the protein powder, which is raw, vegan, etc. Any fruit if I want it, or maca, or any of the supplements or whatever that I fancy. And that's how I start. If I want any snacks during the morning, then sometimes it's raw chocolate, sometimes it's just fruit, sometimes it's a snack bar, sometimes it's a chia pudding. I'm very flexible in the way I eat, and some people appreciate that and others are like, oh, pin her down because I want the ABC. But I'm an intuitive eater. And I bring that up because it's very relevant. But second of all, my book, Eat Right for Your Personality Type, is all about the eater types. And so everyone listening obviously is going to have an eater type profile. And the ones that relate to me will be intuitive eaters, and the ones that don't won't be. But intuitive eaters, they don't want to be told what to eat and when to eat it, because they want to feel into their body and ask, what do you want? And that's where I am, and that's not where I started. Back in the day, I had to look at a book to tell me what to eat all the time and find my way that way. And lunchtime, well, it's going to be, like I say, some salad-based thing with whatever else I want to put in it. And it depends sometimes what's in the fridge or what's just been delivered or what's been bought, all the rest of it. And dinner, a similar thing. And today I had some raw vegan ice cream, chocolate with salted caramel. So, there's a lot of fun to be had as well. I mean, it was the first time I tried this particular brand, and as soon as I started eating it, I was like, this is a slippery slope. And, the good news is that raw food now and vegan food is more exciting than it's ever been. And there's so many new things to try and experiment with all the time. There's just no reason to feel deprived in any way.
Yeah, I had pizza kale chips last night, and that chocolate ice cream met its expectations for you.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I ate a lot. Yeah, very.
So a slippery slope. Yeah. What are some of the other tools and facets and things for your lifestyle that you pull in, aside from the food you're putting in your body? How else do you nourish your mind, body, and soul?
Well, it's a great question, and it's really important, because over the years I found that people that just focus predominantly on the diet, they end up kind of lopsided with their health. So they might think it's the panacea to everything. And it certainly makes a massive difference. Like, even when you're working out, it's still 80% diet, 20% exercise when it comes to body transformation. So, I've spent years promoting raw food, and I wouldn't take away from it for a single second, but it's still erroneous to think that that's everything. So exercise, everyone again has a different feeling about this, but my gosh, when you combine exercise and raw food, honestly, you can feel superhuman, and I love that feeling. So that's why I do both every day. Meditation or prayer or journaling, whatever someone can use to really connect with themselves, is super crucial, because whose life is it, and where are you going, and what matters to you, and are you living a life based on your values? That really is the bedrock of everything. I'm very passionate about knowing who you are and where you want to go in life, and then the exercise and the meditation and the food, they're tools that will assist you in going where you want to go and going in the way you want to go there. Obviously, fresh air, nature, love, of course, crucial. Unhealthy relationships, all the usual suspects. But I really feel that when someone is passionate about health, it's not just about knowing these things or playing with these things, but actually building your life based on these things so that they're integrated. And not just that, but they're at the level that is really appropriate for the level you want to play your life. Because, there's a world of difference between meditating once a month and meditating every day. There's a world of difference between working out hard versus doing some stretches. There's a world of difference between doing 80% raw versus 20% raw. So, each person has to, I think, ask the question, how big a game do I want to play? And where do these things need to sit on the scale for me to play at that level?
Do you think it starts with the food? Like, if we weren't putting the right foods in, do you think it makes it harder to go down all those other paths and get closer to where we want to be?
I think it does. I really do. There's been different times in the past where I've thought, really, because people have said to me, well, I'm really into meditation, or I'm really into exercise, and, I can feel like that. But everything starts with the body. Like, we are a human being having a human experience, and our ability to feel, our ability to think, our ability to connect spiritually are all absolutely tied in to our physical health. And you don't need me to tell you, if you're feeling ill, you can't think clearly, you can't feel great love for people, and you certainly can't hold a spiritual thought for very long. So the higher vibration you can create in your physical body through living food, raw food, clean food, the more able you are to express yourself and live in those other ways. And oftentimes people come in through the other avenues first and then find the food, and the food is what lights the touch paper under the whole thing. But for me, fortunately, food is where it started, and then everything else joined in, and I was ready to go.
And what is it? They do define raw foods as being high vibrational, right? The life force in it. What is that about?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really to do with the energy of something. So there's a type of photography called Kirlian photography, which some people might have heard of, and it basically is aura photography. So when you take an aura photograph of a raw or living food versus a cooked food, it's completely different. It's larger, it's brighter, it's more colourful, and the more alive that food is, like a sunflower green that's still growing, the bigger the aura and the more regal, if you like, the colours. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I mean, the more sensitive you get to this stuff, the more you literally can hold something in your hand and feel its energy versus, being totally immune to any of that, which is where I started. You could put a beef burger in one hand and a sunflower sprout in the other. I wouldn't be able to tell you any difference whatsoever. But as you clean out, you detoxify, and you become more sensitive, you can feel the energy even if you can't see it. And it got to a point where I'd walk into a health food store or a supermarket, and I literally could feel the energy of foods the closer I got to them, and the foods that my body wanted and responded to. So, there's this whole other world, which maybe sounds a little bit crazy when you first come across it to hear it, but it's just about sensitivity. And the more sensitive you become, the more aware of energy you become, full stop. And it's not just with food, but even you can walk into a room and feel the energy of the people in the room, and the energy of, who's feeling angry, who's feeling happy. So this energy thing is across the board.
Yeah, I sometimes want to turn that off. So here's the exciting thing. For the people watching that are like, yes, I want to eat more raw food, I want to take this to the next level, Karen is offering what we're doing a show special with some select guests that we think have trainings that can really benefit you. And Karen's offering the Raw Food Made Simple, and the link is going to be below this video. Karen, do you want to talk a little about that program? And thank you for offering a discount. I know you've given a great deal for our attendees.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing program. It's a beginner program for anyone who wants to get into raw food right from the ground up. And it's also great for people who have tried it in the past and fallen off the wagon and want to get back on again. And it's my Raw Food Made Simple book in ebook form, so people can read like the primer book, which is very quick and easy read. And then it's an 8-part program, which is audio and handouts that will walk people step by step through everything they need to understand what it is, know what to buy, know how to make it, create a lifestyle from it to whatever degree that they want. And then there's a Facebook group for support as well.
So is the goal of the program 80% raw, or to be is it kind of individual?
Yeah, it's whatever someone wants it to be. It's giving them everything they need to make the decision, and then it's up to them.
Great. Well, Karen, anything else we didn't touch on that you wanted to communicate, or any last words of advice for those that are looking to live a more vital life, that are, in that paradigm that they have to feel old as they grow old and just kind of give into that idea?
I think, if anything, I want to say that obviously it's never too late. But also it comes down to desire, like how much do you want to live? And I don't mean just live full stop. I mean live as in at what level, which I've already mentioned, because I feel that there's many ways you can live your life. And, given the choice, do you want to live it vibrantly and purposefully, or do you just want to be alive? And I think anyone who's chosen to take the time to watch this summit will fall into the latter category. And I think then it's important to know that all tools are not created equally, and that if you want to get the most powerful results, you have to go as close to source as you can get. And you only have to look at the speed, the power, the agility, the life force of animals, which obviously are eating naturally an uncooked diet because they don't sit down with saucepans and all the rest of it, to see that nature exhibits this all the time, everywhere. And we've forgotten so much. So a lot of the things that I've touched on today, if I'd have heard them 20 odd years ago, I would have thought, this woman's a lunatic. But my desire to explore this and to go in with an open mind and be my own blank slate, if you like, was my priority. And then you can't deny the results you experience for yourself. So you can hear what other people say and you may believe them or not believe them, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And I would challenge anyone to try raw food for a day, 3 days, 5 days, to whatever degree they can, and they will see and feel the difference. You can't argue with it.
Great. And outside the show special, what's the best way for our viewers to follow your work and, catch up with you?
They can go to therawfoodcoach.com. And if they want to stay in touch, they can get the free ebook, Go Raw for a Day, at the website as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for that too. Karen Knowler, always inspiring guy. I think our interview must have been 10 years ago now, and the evolution of Karen Knowler. It's so great to see you along the journey and progressing vibrantly and living the life of vitality. Thank you for being here in the 2017 Vitality World Summit.
Thank you, Steve. See you again. Bye.
Awesome. Karen Knowler, amazing session. I'm Steve Prussack, and we'll see you in the next one.